Truth Bombers Podcast.
Truth Bombers Podcast.
The group chat turned podcast with your hosts, Russ, Lockie, and BJ.
Hey, buddy.
Cluckers, how are you, buddy?
Both in the studio. I didn't think this was happening.
I also didn't think this was going to happen, but
So try.
here he is, the best dressed, best groomed, the best man.
Looking very good, Russ.
Boys, episode 19. That's almost a milestone. Almost 20 episodes in.
Peak 20 is on Sunday.
We've clocked over 500 views. We've clocked over I think 100 hours of listening hours on the tube. So
Is that just you and me, Ben? Or
made Cat do it as well. So we're coming up in the world. We're up to 30 subscribers on the YouTube and getting near that magical 100 mark on the Instagram. So for everyone that's listening that is following us, engaging with us, giving us your feedback, your opinions, especially during the game, we do enjoy that. We try to read as much of those out as we can, but thank you very much. We enjoy the support and please keep it up. This is the Truth Bombers podcast. I am joined in studio by Russell Wilkes, who has bought some delicious sugar-free soft beverages.
Yeah.
For us to crack on. You're off the booze.
Told you that last week.
Yeah, but you said you were off the booze. You've been off the booze for a day. It might have just meant you had a big Sunday. I don't know, it was an official thing.
Yeah, well, it's officially the longest I've ever been.
3 days.
Yeah.
What's the goal?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
What's that take us to?
I'm just
Like
getting
June,
3
July,
months.
August.
Like
But my birthday.
Queen's birthday weekend.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Nice, mate.
See how we go. 3 days in.
Getting back on
Going strong.
MFP,
What's that?
my fitness pal.
Oh, yeah.
But you'd be surprised how much of a difference a couple of months off the booze will actually
It's been a
make,
while
because
since
that's the
I've-
only thing you did.
Good. There was this COVID. It's like, COVID just was like a lot of drinking just because you sit at home, watch a lot of footy. Like you're watching 7 games of footy a week. You're like, yeah, we'll have a beer.
I'm doing that now. Let me tell you, best time to do both knees. If anyone's out there wondering, do it while football season's on because there's plenty to watch. Lockie, how are you, mate?
yeah, I'm very well.
Good, short, sharp, to the point. Let's get to it. We are heading in now at 1-5 as we head into round 7 versus the Dogs. How are we feeling?
Optimistic and nervous at the same time. Like, I reckon this game is going to go down to the wire, or we're going to be 4, 5, probably 5 or 6 goals down like by quarter time.
You think they're going to come out hot?
We're either going to. I think we'll know, like we always say, in the first 5 minutes if we're in this game or not.
Lockie?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. Where I think we're a big chance because we've got a few players in. I think we showed some good signs versus Collingwood. I am a little bit worried that the Doggies want to make a big statement that they're much better than where their ladder position says they are.
Yeah, well, I think fuck the Dogs and their big statements, personally.
Yeah, but you're right though. Like that's a good point, Locke, because like, you know, we've spoken about we're the easiest team to come up against. So they got, you know, they lost a game they should have won last week by 1 point. You know, everyone's starting to talk about how their bad start in the media this week. They're going to get together like, oh, like we've got Bombers this week. Let's just absolutely give it heaps and play us back into form.
I mean, look, we've beaten the Dogs 2 of the last 3 times we've played them. So,
Have we?
we beat them in the Pracky match. We beat them in
Oh,
the season. They
it's
beat
a
us
bit-
in Eland.
It's a bit different in practice, man.
Well, when we won that practice match, we did a podcast about it. We were all up and out of the chairs and
We had
pretty
two
excited.
we had 2 herd boys play that game. We calling them back up to play this week.
Well, Younger Herd, I thought of you this week, made his debut in the
Yeah, both of
VFL.
them played, but both of them played in that Bulldogs
Really?
practice match.
There you go. Maybe that's the missing key. Maybe that's why we're not winning. I'm optimistic, and I'm optimistic for 2 reasons. One, I think there might be a little bit more confidence going in this week, given the recent form that we've had against the Dogs with the guys that are playing. And 2, Bulldogs are kicking at goal even worse than we are. So, and that's kind of what we saw in that round 22 win last year, was that like we won that game similarly to how essentially we lost last week. Like the Bulldogs just did not take advantage of their opportunities. They kept spraying them, kept us in it, and we just kept at it. long enough to make the difference up on the scoreboard. So there is a bit going for us. But I'm like you guys, I'm like cautiously optimistic, but I don't think the Bombers are going to be my lock of the week when it comes to
No.
Just before we get too far, Benny, is that microphone on?
It is on, mate. If you can hear us, it's good.
Okay.
So just watch this green light here. As long as we see it's green and not red, we're all right.
Yeah, sweet.
All right. Which is a good point because I'm not actually recording on the phone. So, all right, let's go through the team. And again, we might go line by line, have a little bit of a chat. Again, just mixing it up on the whiteboard just for funsies. Heppel named at the back pocket. Jaden Laverde, who I guess I was a little bit worried about after Sunday's game that he might not pull up, and that might be an even bigger hole in our defense, has been named at fullback. So assume that he got through a fitness test, I think, today on that knee, which is obviously nothing more than a bit of a knock, maybe a little bit of bone bruising. And Jordan Ridley named in the other fullback pocket.
Geez, Dice needs a big game this week.
What do we think of Dyson over the last few weeks? Is he stagnant? Is he slightly improving? Is he nowhere to be seen still?
I think it's slightly improving.
I am a bit worried that most captains throughout the league have moments where you're just like, yes, that's a captain's act. And I haven't seen anything from Heppel this season that would say that he's our captain. He's not a look what I just did, follow me. Yeah, I'm a bit worried.
You mean his 34 touches and 0 tackles against Fremantle wasn't getting you up out of your chair? Lucky?
I think he had 0 tackles again versus Pies.
Yeah.
You can't
Which
catch
is-
anyone.
You can't catch anyone.
We watched that replay where he was a foot behind, I think,
Crisp. Oh, yeah.
No. mate, got the medal.
Was it
Ginnivan.
Ginnigan, and you
Ginnivan?
saw Ginnigan like being a stride ahead of him.
Ginnigan's Island?
And they showed the replay of him just pulling away from Heppel the further and further.
Yeah,
down
I think it
the
was like
lead.
a 10-meter lead and he put 4 meters on Heppel.
Yeah.
So
Almost like Franklin versus Hooker.
I would love to have Hooksy back in the team. Halfback, Zach Merritt has been named with Jake Kelly at centre halfback and Mason Redmond on the other back flank. Thoughts?
I just wanted to say with Jake Kelly, I thought he had a great game versus the Pies. And I know he gave away a couple of free kicks, but he had some big one-on-one wins and 50-50s that he competed very well in.
Or the only bloke on the day to get caught in a tackle by Brodie Grundy, though. Ugh. But yeah, I think since Adelaide, he's kind of found his own a little bit more down there and
Doing
starting to
exactly
get.
what he's supposed to
Yeah,
be doing.
I think when you start, you're nervous about making mistakes and costing the team. But I think he's been there now where he realizes like we didn't want you in here to necessarily just be part of the 6, but it's actually what you can do is what we need. Like take those intercept marks, be that pressure back, niggle, like get in the head and run. So I think he's definitely been playing since that Adelaide game as his standout game. It's been quite good to see his progression. Zach Merritt at halfback, I think that's just throw the magnet. I can't imagine he'll be pairing up too much on that halfback line. Just looking ahead to see who else he'd probably switch with, but I imagine that would be if a Hind plays, etc., that Merritt will end up in the guts.
The big boys takes that boo. I reckon you take that.
Potentially. Durham, Andrew McGrath, and Nick Cox on the other wing. Lockie, you were pretty adamant that Cox was due for a run in the 2s. And again, maybe we're seeing him named not just in the extended squad, but on the bench because we're out of depth. Is that the thought?
How does he keep getting the game? He's not playing well enough to get a game in my eyes.
Who would you put in then?
Would you bring in Braden Ham for Nick Cox?
No, Cutler
Yep.
on the wing. I'm fine with Cutler playing the wing role.
Yeah, he can do it, but I don't think you get much more out of Cutler than you would Cox. I don't know. Maybe he does need a little bit of development in the lower leagues to get some confidence up, but on one part says just get as many AFL games to him as it can.
Keep him in fine form. Hope he finds form.
Yeah, hope he finds form. Make him accountable every game. That you need to be hungry for it. Cutler, yeah, he could do the job, and he might get 4 or 5 more disposals, but
28.
yeah, who cares?
Why would you name Andrew McGrath in the center and Zach Merritt on the back flank, even if that was how you were going to go in?
They just pick up the magnet sometimes.
But why do that? But why do that?
Why put Francis in the back line when they knew they were going to play him?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like, are we gaining an advantage somewhere here? Like, what's the point? Like, surely we're not starting like that. So why would you put it up on the board? Like
maybe
that?
the graphics girl doesn't know how to do it properly.
It's a
Maybe it's about making a bit of money during from the betting. So if they name someone in the back pocket, their odds go up, and then they put a 50 or 100 on it.
Our half forward line, Perkins, which we love to see, Big Waters, who's been on fire the last 2 weeks, potentially 1 goal short of taking home an Anzac medal effectively, and Guelph on the other half forward line. I like it. Truth be told, I'd probably have Peter Wright, who's named at full forward, move up to centre half forward. I think he's much better when he's around the 50. Clunking it from anywhere from 45 to 55 and going back and having the set shot. And I think Waterman's been really good in and under ball in that kind of full forward position the last couple of weeks, winning his own ball, winning a few free kicks and taking some really nice contested marks.
Yeah, I like Waterman leading out of the goal square, that old school full forward, not super tall, not super fast, but if you give him a meter lead, he's just going to stay in front of you and mark it.
Yeah, interesting to see Perko up there instead of Hobbs, like we spoke about. Again, we don't know if they're just throwing the magnets on randomly.
Yeah.
But to see Hobbs a little bit forward this time rather than and have Arch a little bit higher, which we've said we wanted to see a little bit more of.
So yeah, Hobbsy named forward pocket, Peter Wright full forward, and Jakey Stringer in the other full forward pocket.
Yeah.
So Hobbsy, he's obviously coming in. He's doing enough. Like he's probably wasn't as good last week as he against the Pies as he probably was against Freo. I guess a little bit of inconsistency there is going to be expected from a brand new player as he finds his feet in the team. But I thought Perko was back to his old, like carefree, confident opportunity taking self last week. And we talked a little bit about, would it be a problem playing him and Hobbs in the same team and potentially vying for the same position? I guess it's 1-1, right? Like Hobbs has come in and Perko's had an average game, and last week Perko stepped up and Hobbsy had a bit of an average one. So it'd be interesting to see this week how that plays out.
On Hobbs there being named on the sheet, and again, we keep going back to we don't know what's actually happening on the sheets, but to go down and see if I'm Dylan Shield and I'm on close to $1 million a year, then, a couple of years ago, we had 5 clubs begging to me to go to their club, flying me around Australia on private jets for the service. And I'm getting named on the bench. And a guy that got picked up last year, who's played 2 games, is getting named on the field. What does that do to someone?
Well, Dylan Shield does not have the value that he commanded 5 years.
Yeah, but I'm talking like as a player. Does that not give you a firecracker to be like, okay, we saw him 2 weeks ago go, have a pretty average game, no work rate, got absolutely blasted, didn't really step up too much. Yes, a little bit from last week. And now he's been named on the bench, extended bench, and you got Hogsy on the ground there. Surely that's going to lift you up a little bit.
I think one thing potentially we haven't discussed is I wonder if there's any kind of long-term lingering dampening effects on conditioning from COVID. And I wonder how many of our playing group has or did contract COVID during the break, during the off season. And I wonder if that is potentially playing a role with someone like a Dylan Shield, because he is fit as fuck. And it can't all just be in his head in terms of not putting in the work.
If with the COVID thing, I was listening to, I think the GM of Melbourne this morning talk about their
I'll move the frame so that you stay.
Sorry. About their issues they're having at the moment. Obviously, the coach is out this week. They've got a couple of guys that are out with close contacts and got COVID. I think then they talked about, could this be a big implode of all the players out? He's like, to be honest, 75% of the guys had it over summer.
Yeah.
And, we're looking at probably the tail end of guys that are probably going to get it now if they do get it. So he's like, even if there was everyone together, he's like, there's only going to be about 10 blokes total. So most of their lists, we're talking about the top tier.
I think what you want to avoid the West Coast situation where your 10 blokes get it all
at the same time in the middle of the season. Yeah. So if we did have a lot of COVID go through the system, we don't know the long effects, but with Melbourne went through their whole playing group from what they say, and they seem to be flying pretty good.
Yeah, maybe we need COVID. And the extended bench, Dylan Shield, Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, Jai Caldwell, Kane Baldwin, and then our big inclusion, Zach Reed, who we've been calling for to be named now for a little while, has got the call up. Nick Bryan, again, is named on that extended bench. Nick Hind, who played as the sub last week, and Tom Cutler. So, Sam Draper, Darcy Parish, and Nick Martin as the
Nick Martin looks like he's in a 2-year deal as well, which is pretty phenomenal for a guy that
He's played 3 games.
played 3 games in a club before at Christmas time last year.
Yep, good.
Traded
Down.
him 3 times in the draft. What a fantastic pickup.
For sure. Thoughts on the extended bench, Lock?
I'd love to see Nick Bryan in. I'd love to see Zach Reed in. I think Zach Reed will come in for Zerk-Thatcher.
Yep.
I think Bryan will come in for Baldwin, and then him and Draper can alternate in the ruck, and one can be a forward, part-time forward if needed. That would leave Peter Wright as just a full-time forward. I think that sort of could work well.
Fingers crossed.
I think that's an absolute must, to be honest. I think Bryan has to come in. We proved last week that we can't have Tunita running up and down the field. You know,
Yeah, he's run 16 Ks.
yeah, he's too big to be running that kind of distances and still be managing a ruck and then managing like the forward line and be expected.
Apologies for the background news. It's part-time in the Borg household.
I think Shield and Caldwell will definitely play. And
Yeah,
I think it'll be out of Hind and Cutler, who's the sub.
Yeah, I think I agree. You were saying before as well, didn't mind Hind as the sub last week. Interesting, Dev Smith did get dropped, hasn't been named again. I thought that might be like a one and done. Okay, like you've done your game in the twos. And to be fair, if you put Dev Smith and Dylan Shield side by side, I think Dev's been like playing better football. I think he's been much more valuable to,
other than that 2-touch game he had.
Yeah, like the last couple of games, though. I
Yeah.
think he's been leading the way with tackle count, even when he's been playing as a sub. Granted, like, God damn, his finishing was woeful against Freo. But like, if he'd done those same actions and ended up with 4 straight instead of 4 points, and we end up winning that game, you're giving him almost best on ground. So I think it's very hard. Like, it's easy to fault blokes when it goes wrong, but at the same time, when it goes right, you're lauding them. It's the same action.
I guess that's our whole season at the moment. You know, we have a few things go our way, it completely changes the whole outcome. At the moment, I don't feel like we're, we talked a lot about the start of the team, how much depth we had, or, how high hopes for the season. And I don't think we're that far away, to be honest. It's just, there's lots of little things going wrong. And like I said, a little thing like kicking 4 points and losing a game versus kicking 4 goals and winning. It's hard to you're right.
We're not a Melbourne or a Geelong that can afford to miss 21 or 22 shots and still be in a commanding, point at a game. We're a team that's maybe going to get 20 shots on target or 20 scoring opportunities. And when we don't make the most of them, we're not 3 or 4 goals up on teams and spraying them, right? So that really has been the difference. And then all, the momentum and pressure and excitement and the energy that comes with kicking goals and getting breaks on teams. Or the opposite, when you end up being 3 goals down and you've had four shots, and you just set yourself back right from the beginning. So yeah, Dev Smith's still out. I agree with you, Locke. I think Caldwell plays. I think Shield plays. I think Zach Reed comes in for Brandon Zerk-Thatcher. Why would you name him if you weren't going to play him? For me, and I would like to see Bryan come in for Baldwin, because I think that forward line does look better when we have, arguably Phillips in there. Hopefully he's back next week. But it's a good opportunity for Bryan to get some minutes in the AFL. Is Tim English back in for the Dogs? Okay, so they're kind of going to be not playing necessarily their first grade.
Hagen's also been omitted as well.
Really?
Yeah.
He hasn't done much though, has he?
Still.
Laverde.
They're obviously worried about scoring if he's coming out then.
Well, I think that Laverde probably gets the job on Bontempelli down back.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that he's still not 100%.
Yeah. But I guess, look, Merritt and Stringer both named on the ground this week. Maybe not highly predicted as being going to be the case last week when we were talking about our low performance team. So maybe they did get that one right. Maybe Zach Merritt did eat all his vitamins and do all his hydrotherapy and did come back in record time from the syndesmosis.
Yeah, well, the fact he got that many possessions, like, you know, you can debate if they were A-grade possessions, but
He was running.
you can't hide getting high 20s and high, what would it, 30, low
34,
30s,
I think, yeah.
you know, mid 30 possessions. You can't hide that with an injury. So he seems to be good to go.
And Parrish clear as well. So he's obviously been named too. Now, I did send a message to the group as a bit of an update on where things were at from our injury list. Harrison Jones will miss another week after suffering a minor ankle sprain in his return game. So he's a little bit away. Tex Wanganeen also suffered an ankle injury in that game last week as well. Michael Hurley has suffered a setback. Russ, guess how?
He slipped in the shower.
Think about what's been going on in the high performance team of late.
No, he didn't get a calf.
He's done a calf. He's strained his calf, which has interrupted his training loads in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, we've got Laverde back. Kyle Langford is still 3 to 5 weeks away. Will Snelling is still 3 to 4 weeks away. Phillips hopefully back next week. James Stewart's groin hopefully only 1 to 2 weaker. Wanganeen and Harrison Jones.
Can you imagine Snell and
Langford?
Lang is back in, like, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think we're going to get to a point this week where we're actually going to see our best 22 take the park?
No, because I honestly, like, we've talked about this many times, but when you get an injury and you feel like you miss them, we said Langers and Snell were those underlying guys that you don't realize you need them until they're gone.
Yeah.
We said that in, like, you know, preseason, and I think it's really showing. Like, our forward line, you know, the pressure that Snell gives you.
Well, even that first, was it Brisbane, that first quarter Snell played? It was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
back.
That pressure, you know, Guelph is sort of like giving it bits out there. Durham is too, but, you know, Snell has a little bit more of a better kick on him. He's a little bit more better under pressure, kicks a few goals. You know, the tackle count is always 6, 7 plus. And then Lang is having that set shot, reliable sort of hands. Yeah.
And I guess Tipper to the other notable, still a non-inclusion. So nice to see he's off the injury list, but how far away is he?
I'm amazed he's played 4 VFL games, and the report was that he's still not match fit. Like, how many games do you need?
He's looking pretty soft. He's looking like he's had an off season, that's for sure. So, like, I think he'd be a great sub. Speaking of sub, I think it's time we call for a review in what we're actually doing with that sub, because the concussion sub is now just seems to be like, and you said this before, this player's a little bit like a Laverde, right? Dinged up. Oh, it's just a little bit of bruising. He's playing the next week. Yeah. That's not what the sub is for.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see
some strategic subs.
Well, some sort of actual review on what we're allowed to do with that sub. I know Lockie's a big fan of saying use it at any time, and once you activate yours, the other team activates theirs. Because I guess technically, yeah, Laverde, who's not injured enough to miss a game, but a little bit sore and maybe coming off at 85%, he subs off. Hind comes in. That isn't it. Like, that's a strategic advantage play.
And especially a guy like Hind, if he was a little bit more clinical with his touches last week, he could have opened that game up. Like, you saw he went out there like a fucking bull in a china shop.
Oh, so he fucking should.
But and, you know, he's been, you know, he's got, coming up to the last quarter, everyone else has got 3 quarters in. He's already got a bit of speed on him. You know, he could easily tear that game apart strategically for like, Piney, you go in. Laverde, you a little bit cooked.
Yeah. Agree. Lockie?
Yeah. I've said it a few weeks ago. I'd love to see Tipper as the sub.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know, if he's not match fit, he can play into it.
Better finish.
Come on, Rice. Yeah, like if you played a quarter, if you played a half, amazing. And yeah, with the sub rule, just make it a 23-man squad that you're able to choose from, or make the sub something that, once one team does, the other can.
Yeah, it's either concussion, or the question is, and we'll just fucking either have 23 on the bench or have just 22 on the bench, and it's bad luck if you get injured, like it's always been.
Yeah.
Injuries happen. It's part of the game. It's a disadvantage. That's, you know, so is COVID. So is, Everything else, someone
So
gets a
it's wearing
stomach
an
flu.
Essendon
Yeah,
shirt.
wearing an Essendon shirt. It's always
Having the umpires
outrageous.
attack you for an Essendon.
So yeah, that is the list. Those are our thoughts. We'll see how we go on Sunday. And now, you confirm you've got an event on Sunday, or are you coming to watch a game on Sunday?
Right. Well, I don't know why you keep saying this event.
Because that's when you listen back to last week. That's what you said. You're like,
You
"Oh,
said
that's
we were
not
going to
right."
record on Sunday,
Yeah.
and I said good because I can't do it Monday.
Okay. You can't do it Monday. Are you going to the game, Locke?
No, I'll come over to yours, Benny.
All right, perfect. So we might set up another successful YouTube live stream, 2 in a row. And we'll keep this one pretty low key, keep it fixated on the panel boys and get all the raw emotion. And we'll try to keep you out of the kitchen at the quarter time and halftime break so we can
Let's
actually
make a couple.
chat a few stats. All right, let's get to the old footy tips update. How did we go last week on our locks, gentlemen?
I won my first one ever.
I think more about it.
My lock was all good.
All right.
Won
so
a few.
No contribution to the tip. Lucky to the tin. Your lock might have been the only one you got right for the round, judging how things have played out. So as we're sitting, Russell's made a little bit of a move. He moves into 11th, sitting on 34. He's 1 tip behind myself, sitting in 8th on 35. So let me scroll down. There's Lockie there, 15th on 31. Not your worst round, 6 for that round. Who let you down?
So I tipped Pies, and then I changed it to Essendon, and then I tipped back. I tipped Pies again, and I changed it to Essendon.
Did you really? That's shocking.
I did.
What was your to and fro? What couldn't you get settled on?
When I got to the ground, I had a very good vibe,
No.
and that turned out to be wrong.
Correct. Well, you talked about the bad omens the last game you went to, where you scratched the rims and got.
I didn't have any bad omens this game, so I thought we were on.
They're suspicious. Brody Harrison is still leading the way at the top of the table. Now, who have we got for this week? Let's have a look here.
I'll go out on a limb and put Brisbane Lions as my lock.
I got Carlton. They've had a couple of weeks. They're coming back this week.
Hang on. So Brisbane Lions, Lockie, you're taking to beat Sydney.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm leaning towards Sydney for that one.
I
It's
tip
really
Sydney.
interesting. And who are you going with?
Carlton coming back this week.
Oh yeah, against North. Righto. I'm going to take the Tigers over West Coast, but not with much conviction at all. I think West Coast is due.
I think we should have had a rule, which I've heard of in the past, where you can only pick one team. A team once for your lock of the week. So let's say you pick the D.
If you're going to pick one team every.
Look how upset he gets whenever we try to bring in rules.
Like when I try to bring in rules, when Lucky's getting the favourites and I'm putting in $20 every week, it's not.
Russ, who have you gone with? Pies versus Blues versus North Melbourne.
But we also, Lockie was the one that instituted the rule about you can't tip less than $1.50 favourite.
Yeah, after he tipped 2 weeks in a row, $1.50 favourites.
You were stinking on him. You went stinking.
Yeah, so we can't beat him. Join him.
Interesting. Geelong, very, very, very short favourites against Fremantle. I think that's going to be a decent game.
They had Freo got a couple outs though, and it is in Geelong. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, good, lovely. Saints Port, Lock. Who do you reckon?
I don't mind the sneaky Port tip, but maybe that's why my tipping is going so bad.
You can't take
I might
three ones a week.
I
Mate.
might change my tip to. I went Port.
And what are we looking at for the Bombers multi this week, mate? What do you like? Where's the value?
Well, I was definitely right with Parrish getting more than 35, so I want that noted. Let's go Peter Wright, 3 goals plus.
Ooh.
Kicked 7 last time against the Dogs. So
anyone out there that works at any kind of betting sporting agency that are looking for a Ground Roots podcast to get up and under, yeah, this could be your time. This could be your segment. All right. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Cluckers.
No worries, man.
I'll probably see you tomorrow and I will see you on Sunday.
Yes, you will.
Go Bombers.
Go
All
Dogs.
right, thanks, guys.